A new year dawns upon the settlement. The survivors steel themselves for what lies ahead. Weapons are checked, wounds bound, and lantern light flares against the dark as they prepare to face the Spidicules. With resolve forged from loss and memory, they step forward, ready to challenge the horrors waiting beyond the settlement's glow. Enzo stands unshackled from the nightmares that once ruled him, the scars of his past no longer bending his will. With fire in his eyes and a voice hardened by loss, he swears vengeance upon the creature. Enzo is the first to move forward and immediately stumbles into bad vibrations. The air around the survivors grows tense and unnatural. The roll comes up 5. Whatever stalks them chooses not to strike. Instead, the monster slinks deeper into the darkness, its presence fading but never truly gone. Ilana moves forward next, descending into a silk-lined tunnel that glistens faintly in the lantern light. The tunnel collapses around her. Dust and silk fill the air. The survivors realize they've escaped without injury. Arthur steps up afterward. With the highest courage among them, he ventures into the crystal caves. There, embedded in the shimmering stone, he uncovers 2 iron, hauling the valuable ore back to the group. Artemis moves forward next. The roll comes up 93, and she discovers signs of a lost survivor wandering the darkness. For a brief moment, hope flickers. But the settlement has not yet innovated pictograph. Unable to communicate or guide them safely home, the survivors are forced to move on, leaving the lost figure behind in the dark. Lastly, Arthur presses deeper into the darkness. The roll comes up 39, and the group stumbles into a heavy, clinging mist. Visibility vanishes, sound dulls, and direction becomes uncertain. They push forward anyway, blindly, but somehow true, emerging just moments too late. The monster is already there. From the fog, it strikes first, the group is ambushed, and the monster takes the first turn. The monster strikes first, revealing Pulverize. Its long, grotesque spider-like legs advance toward Enzo, each movement deliberate and horrifying, a mockery of life itself. It fixates on him, whispering vengeance and taunting him with the memory of Samson's death. Its attacks lash out 2 strikes, meant to shatter bone and will. With a predator's precision, he dodges both blows, each one cutting through the air where he once stood. Shock ripples through the abomination. It skitters back on its horrid legs, hesitant for the first time, its many eyes narrowing on Enzo. With the creature recoiling and out of reach, Arthur steps forward, shifting into a more tactical position. Anger coils in his chest, a burning fury at the monster that took his mentor from him. Enzo steps into formation, passing Arthur with quiet authority. He pats him on the back, a fleeting gesture of trust and care. Arthur, grown like a son to him, feels the bond before the hunt resumes. Ilana moves forward, keeping her father and brother-in-arms close at hand. She steels herself, every muscle tensed, ready for the attack that looms ahead. Artemis moves forward, taking her place in the formation. With her in position, the group braces for the oncoming attack. The monster reveals the birthing hour. In a blur of jagged, spider-like motion, it lunges at Enzo, striking him twice with brutal precision. Its grotesque leg drives into his foot, pinning him to the ground, while jagged appendages rake across his head. Enzo collapses as a hot, viscous stream of goop runs down his cheek, his eyes shattered and ruined, the warm slime a sickening reminder of his loss. He blinks uselessly, with one eye now gone. With a wet, hissing sound, the creature births a writhing spiderling, slick and glistening, wriggling free from its oozing womb. The monster lingers, watching its newborn squirm, savoring the repulsive triumph of its grisly act. The newborn spiderling slithers across the ground, its slick, glistening body moving with unnatural speed toward Ilana. It strikes suddenly, but the attack misses her entirely. Ilana swings her long club with force, striking the spiderling and eviscerating it, its body collapsing into a wet, broken heap. Without pause, she turns to Enzo and uses her survival to encourage him. Enzo charges straight under the monster, swinging his crockbone hammer with all his strength. His blow strikes its cunning legs with a sickening crack, and with a crash, one of the grotesque limbs breaks off, sending the creature reeling. Enzo stands proud, one eye gone, bloodied but unbroken, feeling the bitter irony of his attack. Arthur charges beneath the creature, wielding his Dreamkeeper knife with deadly precision. He strikes 3 times, each hit striking with more determination than the last. The first blow hits its segmented ears, wounding the creature as the knife twists cruelly in the sockets. The second strikes at the segmented abdomen, but the wound fails. The creature skitters away, putting distance between itself and the hunters. Artemis moves into range, raising her bone dart with steady aim. She throws, but the dart misses its mark, skimming harmlessly past the monster. The monster coils, preparing its next strike, and reveals hydraulic leap. With a single terrifying bound, it launches into the air and disappears from view. Artemis is the first to react, darting toward the giant stone face looming ahead. Arthur moves toward Artemis, raising his presence over the battlefield. Using his Orator of Death ability, he spends his action to grant all survivors 2 insanity, shielding them from the creeping threat of brain damage. Ilana moves toward the center of the battlefield and readies herself, steady and unyielding. Enzo follows in his daughter's footsteps, taking his place beside her as they prepare for what comes next. A terrible sound echoes overhead as the monster drops from a great height. It crashes down onto a random survivor. Ilana braces herself and takes the full weight of the spider. The impact crushes her waist, hurling her backward as she slams into Enzo before crashing to the ground. But as she falls, her frog dog suit reacts its momentum, carrying her through the motion. She flips, rolls, and springs back to her feet, standing once more in defiance. Arthur charges beneath the monster and strikes, slicing 3 times in rapid succession. The first blow bites into a leg, but isn't deep enough, the stalk whipping away as Arthur gains the priority token. On the final strike, the blade finds its mark, the leg is wounded, shearing free and fluttering wetly to the ground. Arthur quickly turns and uses his presence to encourage Enzo, helping him rise to his feet. Enzo charges forward, hammer raised, and strikes the spider squarely in its eye. The blow lands as a critical hit, eliciting a blood-curdling scream from the creature. In the chaos, the survivors gain a survival. Enzo gazes down at the spider's crushed eyeball, a grim smirk crossing his face. "An eye for an eye," he mutters, satisfaction and vengeance mingling in his voice. Ilana moves in and swings her club twice at the spider. Her first strike crashes down on its segmented knee, but the blow deflects off the grotesque limb. The vibration from the impact stirs a spiderling dormant in one of the egg sacs. Seizing the distraction, the monster skitters away, putting distance between itself and the survivors. From her vantage point atop the stone face, Artemis takes careful aim and throws a bone dart at the spiderling. The dart strikes its body, piercing it cleanly, and the tiny creature bleeds out, collapsing to the ground. The monster strikes, revealing hallucinogenic fangs. From this moment on, any spiderlings it spawns will inflict a random disorder on anyone they attack. Without hesitation, the creature charges Arthur, its grotesque human-like hands smashing into him. One blow lands squarely on his body, driving the air from his lungs and forcing him to brace against the impact. Arthur reacts, slipping into a deadly rhythm, every movement precise and unyielding. He strikes the monster 3 times with his Dream Keeper knife. The first blow strikes the monster's cunning leg with deadly precision. A critical hit. The Dream Keeper knife tears through sinew and chitin, severing tendons and leaving the creature staggering. The strike deals 2 wounds, and the monster reels, forced to gain a negative luck token as its movements falter under Arthur's relentless assault. The second strike lunges for its jaw, but the spider screams in pain and the attack misses. The third strike lands true on its segmented trochanter, cutting deep. The creature rears into the air in agony, and from the disturbed egg sacs, a spiderling emerges, skittering directly toward Arthur. Enzo moves in, his confidence bolstered by the presence of his newfound son, and strikes from underneath. Trap! The monster unleashes a pheromone-feeding frenzy, and a spiderling bursts from the disturbed egg sacs. The tiny horrors skitter toward Enzo, attacking with unnerving speed. The first spiderling bites him in the hand, its hallucinogenic venom surging through his system and inflicting rageholic. The second strikes his waist, injecting venom that twists his blood and mind into a bloodlust disorder. Ilana charges in without hesitation, rushing the horde. She brings her club down hard, smashing a spiderling into the ground and killing it outright, silencing its frantic skittering in a burst of gore. From her vantage point, Artemis takes aim and throws her bone dart. It strikes the last spiderling cleanly, killing it instantly and reducing the threat to near zero. The monster laughs, a choking, broken sound that scrapes against the nerves. It steadies its shattered body, then drags itself forward on its obscene legs, climbing directly over Arthur. Its enormous, human-like hands rise high and crash down. Arthur tries to throw himself aside, but the hands clamp onto his legs and pin him helplessly beneath their weight. Time seems to stop. When the creature finally lifts its hands, they come away slick and dripping. Blood, fat, and shattered bone cling to its knuckles. Arthur's legs are crushed beyond recognition, twisted and flattened behind him like discarded meat. Ilana's scream bursts out, raw and panicked, the scene mirroring the final moments of her mother's death. Artemis watches from her perch, expression frozen, eyes unblinking. Inside Enzo, something splinters. The monster has taken Samson. It took his piece. Now it has taken Arthur. Arthur's eyes glaze as the blood drains from him, his body going still in the dirt. He dies staring into the dark. Enzo's mind finally breaks. Grief curdles into rage, and vengeance floods what remains of him. He gains survival and strength, not as triumph, but as the last, violent shape of a man who has lost everything. A spiderling rips free from the egg sacs as the horror settles in. The monster revels in the kill, its laughter sharp and venomous, echoing through the dark. It turns its back on the survivors and crawls away, then slowly pivots to face them again. The air around it hisses with laughter, thick and mocking, as if the darkness itself is amused. The spiderling begins to vibrate, its body twitching in obscene pulses before it skitters straight for Enzo. It lashes out with frantic malice, but its attack misses. Artemis, calm and collected despite the horror, raises her arm and throws her dagger. The blade flies true, striking the spiderling and killing it instantly. Ilana forces herself to breathe, struggling to compose her shattered thoughts as she moves to the other side of the spiderling nest. Enzo follows after her, his mind fracturing under the weight of loss. The monster sends out a low, pulsing frequency toward the nest. The egg sacs quiver, split, and another spiderling is born. Dragging itself forward on its remaining legs, the monster advances on the survivors, looming and deliberate, radiating pure intimidation. The pressure crushes down on their minds. All survivors suffer one brain damage. Ilana, already fraying and gripped by monster panic, takes it harder, suffering 2 brain damage as the terror overwhelms her. Artemis steadies herself, raising her bone dart with precise aim. She fires, and the dart strikes the spiderling cleanly. Enzo lets out a primal scream and charges forward, hammer raised high. He strikes the monster squarely in its leg, the blow landing with bone-crushing force. With a sickening snap, the leg breaks clean off, sending the creature staggering. Ilana moves in beneath the monster, swinging her long club with force. The strike lands true, crashing into its tricky forelegs and jolting the creature back. Every strike, every wound has brought it to the brink. It is now on its last breath. The monster swings its massive hands at Enzo, aiming to crush him, but with his newfound survival, Enzo dodges effortlessly, barely shifting as the grotesque limbs tear through the air where he once stood. Enzo strides forward, hammer dragging behind him, every step heavy with rage and loss. He brings it down with brutal force, smashing into the monster's remaining legs. One leg crushes and tears away, sending a spray of blood and gore across the ground. The creature lets out a ragged, cackling scream, clinging to life on its broken limbs. The survivors stagger in a momentary hollow relief. They believe the nightmare is over, but the darkness is patient. From the shadows, the spider slithers silently back, still alive, its movements sickening and deliberate. In a sudden, horrifying lunge, it seizes Ilana, dragging her screaming into the black void. The 2 survivors move quietly among the scattered remains of the monster, gathering what resources they can from its shattered limbs. There is no celebration, only the oppressive weight of loss hanging over them. The walk home is silent, each step heavy with grief. When they arrive with the remains, the settlement puts the materials to use, innovating silk refining and constructing the silk mill. But Enzo's mind finally shatters. Murali, Samson, Arthur, and now Ilana, each loss gnaws at him. And though he knows Ilana is still out there waiting to be rescued, his gaze goes blank. He crumples to his knees, broken by the relentless tide of grief and vengeance unfulfilled. Artemis finds him weakened, a man undone by sorrow. She knows the settlement must remain strong to survive. With her spear of life, she drives it through his neck, ending his suffering swiftly. The settlement heralds Artemis as a warrior. Like those before her, they take the skull of her kill as a trophy to wear, a grim testament to the cost of survival. As the settlement begins to settle, black clouds gather on the horizon, stinging lungs and throat as acid begins to pour from the sky. It eats through debris and rubble around the settlement, leaving behind jagged remnants. As the storm lingers, a scream cuts through the settlement. The survivors rush toward it, but they arrive too late. They find the fiend, its body trembling beneath the settlement's indignant rage as it slowly raises a pitiable gaze toward them. In that moment of hesitation, their fury evaporates. The creature feeds, devouring one of their own as they stand frozen, each survivor overtaken by sympathy instead of wrath. Artemis recoils at the realization and gains codependent. The fiend begs for sanctuary. Its voice, small and broken, and the settlement welcomes it in. In secret, it delights. Even as it grows bloated on generosity, the parasite continues its blind search for darkness. It gorges itself on the settlement's resources, then slinks away, magnanimous in departure, leaving behind its poisoned gifts of thanks. The pariah offers the settlement knowledge. It presents a bowl and instructs them to stroke its edges, lacerating their fingertips, letting their blood drip inside. The bowl sings with secrets, whispering truths too old and too sharp to ignore. Through its gifts, the pariah grants the settlement precious fragments, a cherished basin filled with spoils of war and implanted memories, foreign lives and distant deaths that nonetheless ring true in the minds of the survivors. It teaches them how to harness organs to craft crude weapons, reshaping flesh into function. Last comes Seer's Eye. A poisoned chalice brims with blood, and at its bottom rests the eye, drinking deeply, absorbing all that is poured into it. Artemis reaches up to her face as blood suddenly pools in her own eye. Pain blooms, vision collapses, and darkness takes hold. Artemis is left blind, marked forever by the price of forbidden insight. Artemis recoils, finally seeing through the pariah's games. Fighting through pain and darkness, she quickly crafts the frog doggles, a desperate attempt to counteract her blindness. From this trauma, her newfound understanding ignites inspiration, and she uncovers the Dream Keeper cowl seed pattern. Rallying the survivors still strong enough to stand against the fiend, Artemis steels the settlement for conflict. In preparation, the settlement innovates bloodletting, a crude but effective form of healing, born of grim necessity. Armed and resolute, Artemis sets out to confront the pariah, bringing Mordum, Virgil, and Riley with her, ready to end the creature's deception once and for all.